Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the end of the week and welcome to beginning of the weekend with the festive season, right? So I hope that you all are doing fine and going fine with your practice sessions also. Even though in the festive mode, make sure that if you're going for your exams in the coming future, to practice with your modules, right? So welcome to this live session with us. Today being Friday, we are going forward the reading comprehension live. I'm with you and I'll be with you for this coming 30-40 minutes and we'll deal with the reading module questions, right? Okay, so basically before coming to the content for today, which will be seen on your screen, I just want to let you know, give an overview in fact of reading. You all must be aware of it because reading is one of those modules which is like, given the second place of when it comes to hard level, level of toughness, it comes after speaking. In fact, writing also, and then maybe third I can say, in any subjective. For some people maybe speaking is better, so they'll take reading as the second place of giving level of toughness, right? But reading is a module which has to be taken care of because there comprehension plays a very, very big role. Comprehension and understanding the synonyms of different words which are mentioned in your passage. So paraphrasing is something very, very important because what the particular words or the way of the structure of the sentences which are given in your paragraph, your passage, may not be the same for your questions. So that's why I told comprehension plays a very big role. Unless and until you don't know what you're looking for and you're not able to track it down very quickly, you won't be able to answer that's 40 questions in 60 minutes. So time is a really very big challenge. Time management, I would say, is a very big challenge when it comes to reading. Completing 40 questions in 60 minutes is not, I would say, very easy, right? You have to manage your time very nicely, right? You need to know how much time to allocate for your reading because you have got 3 passages, right? Passage 1, passage 2 and passage 3, and passage 3 the toughest of that, right? And the longest one also. Reading is divided. Reading questions are actually 12 types, mainly 11 to 12 types you can say, divided into 4 main categories. Now first is, as you all are aware, true, false, not given or yes, no, not given. Second comes your completion kind of questions. There are 6 types of questions in completion. Then we have matching kind of questions where we have 4 types of questions in matching. We have got 3 very common of them. And then last is multiple choice question, MCQs, single answer or multiple answers, right? So this is how completion kind of questions, you can have sentence completion, summary completion, short answers, the visual description questions, table, flow chart, okay, and maps or diagrams. Mainly diagrams, not maps. And when it comes to matching kind of questions, you have matching heading, very common, matching information, matching features and names, matching sentence endings and MCQs. So these are the questions mainly which are a part of the reading question type. And then you have most of them are very common which comes in different passages, right? So all in all, you have to have 40 questions. You have to answer 40 questions within that 60 minutes, right? And your raw score is again converted into a band. Like in 40, the 40 answers which you have replied, then how many of them are correct? That's a raw score, and that is converted into a band score which you get. So if you're aiming to get a 7 above in reading, in that case, you need to practice with a lot of reading materials, and academic and general, the content differs. Right, the formatting, the type of question, everything remains the same, but the content differs, right? So for academic, it's obviously academic contents, and for general, it can be general based contents, right? So that is how it goes. So on your screen, you can see today's content, what I have taken. It's not that tough. It can be handled by both academic and general students, right? So topic, the title of the passage is The Future of Fish, right, wherein you can see there are several paragraphs. Okay, now the passages in reading come in paragraphs. Now sometimes the paragraphs are labeled, depends upon the question type also. If it's a matching heading kind of questions, definitely accept a labeled paragraph. Okay, if you're going for a matching information question also, expect a labeled paragraph, but other cases not necessary. It can be without labels also, right? Labels means sequential numberings are given, right? So here you can see I have taken a passage with the title is The Future of Fish, right? And then I have taken 2 different types of questions here. There are 2 different types of questions which are a part of this. question 1 to 5, it is about yes, no, not given. And then we have question 6 to 8, which is choose the correct option from A and D, multiple choice question, right? Now, it can be subjective, I would say, but for me, when it comes to these two types of questions are a bit on the little complicated, right? When it comes to, because both are, you have to understand what you're looking for first and you have to comprehend, right? So every question type in reading has got different approach, right? Every question has to be approached in a different manner. It's not always read the passage, then look for the question, look for the answer. That is not the method we should adopt. Different type of question has got different way of handling them. So now yes, no, not given, true, false, not given. Now yes, no, not given is author's point of view. That's why it's yes, no, not given. And true, false, not given is actually factual information which has been taken from some part. That's why it's true, false, not given. In both the question, when you answer, even though yes is equal to true, synonymously true, same aanu. Pakshe, in yes, no, not given, you cannot write true. You have to write yes, and you have to write yes, right? So otherwise, technically, instruction-wise, you're going wrong. Even though you're technical-wise, yes is synonymous to true. But you have to write the yes, you cannot write true. Similarly for true also. And false or not given. Not given remains the same for both the type, right? So you can see here, whenever you get a question type, read the question clearly first, right? Understanding that along with the instructions is very necessary. Then only you go to the passage, right? Now you can see, do the following statements agree with the information given in reading passage? In the boxes 1 to 5 answer sheet. You have an answer sheet which has got 1 to 40 sequence given for your questions. Next to that, for example, 1 is there, next to that 1 column is there. You have to write your answer there. It's yes, no, not given, whatever it is, right? So in the boxes 1 to 5 answer sheet, write yes. If the statement agrees with the writer's claims, like I told, it's author's point of view. That's why it is a yes, no, or not given, right? What the author is trying to say in the passage, according to that, is a sentence which is given to you, matching or not, aligned or no. Now, not necessary, most of the times you will not get the same sentence, same formation of the sentence which is in the passage given to you. It will be definitely paraphrased and given to you. Paraphrase means the meaning is not changing, right? The sentence structure may change, the words may change, synonymously change, but the meaning is not changing. So that is what. So if the statement which is given to you agrees with writer's claims in the passage, that means both of them are the same, then it is a yes, right? What case it's a no? If the statement contradicts with the writer's claims, that means if it is opposite. Writer is telling night and statement is telling day. In that case, it is a no, because it is exactly opposite of what the writer is trying to claim in the passage. That's why it is no. That will be, in that case, you'll write the answer as no next to your answer sheet. Not given. If there is it is impossible to say what the writer thinks about it. That means you are not able to, according to from the first line to the last line of the passage, you are reading and you are not able to give a conclusion. You are not able to say whether the author explains about it in that passage or the author is not explaining about it in the passage. Maybe the author is, maybe the author is not, but it is not mentioned in the passage. In that case, it will be a not given. Simple as that. Now, that is where the confusion happens between the no and not given. Since it is not given, you are not able to find it out there, you will say no. No, it is not. No is generally contradicting. The information is available, right? But what is given in the statement is just opposite of that. Go with the no. Not given, you are able to reread the passage, but you are not able to track the information, right? Sometimes the sentence which is given to you not given is partially available in a passage. The partial part is not, the other part is not available. Sometimes the whole part is not available. Tottundo individual information and down, but what you're looking for is not available. In that case, simply go for a not given, right? So that is how you distinguish between a yes, no and a not given, right? Clear as that. So let's go with our first sentence. The first sentence is, now the questions are most in the order. The order of the questions are in the order of the information. Most of the time, right? When it comes to true, false, not given or yes, no, not given. So the first sentence says, it is more than 1,000 years since people started to catch fish for commercial use. Now here you can opt for the keyword method. right, wherein you look for certain keywords, right, in your statement and track those keywords in your passage somewhere. The best keywords always are noun, numbers and terms because they are easy to track, right. A number which is given in your statement cannot be paraphrased and given as something else, right. If my name is available in the statement, that name will be exactly the same in the passage also. It is easy to track. So you can take those as keywords or some other words which will make it easier for you to track that information from where. Then you have to read that part, right. So it says it is more than 1,000 years. You can see there's 1,000 years. Even though it is in words, it is a number. It is more than 1,000 years since people started to catch fish for commercial use, right. So we are trying to we are trying to find out whether the author is telling in the passage that it's been 1,000 years since the people have started to catch fish for commercial use, right. That is what you're looking. Not that difficult. So let's go to the passage and try to find out with the help of these keywords what does the passage says. When you go to the top of the passage from the beginning, this is the first set of questions. So we don't know from which part, from the beginning part or second part or third part, but from the first set of questions you can be 99% of times be assured that's come from the beginning part of the section passage. So let's see. The face of the future of fish, right, as a title, right. The face of the ocean has changed completely since the first commercial fishers. Now, since the first commercial fishers, the fishermen who went into the sea caught the fish for commercial use, right, to gain money. Since the first commercial fishers cast their nets and hooks over 1,000 years ago, right. So it's mentioned in the first line itself, second line itself, that the first time the fishers went into the sea and caught fish for commercial was over 1,000 years ago, and that is what your statement also says. So that means the writer's claim and the statement are the same, right. It is more than 1,000 years since people started to catch fish for commercial use. That's why the answer for this statement will be yes. Okay, that is how you understand that. Fine. Going to the second statement. In general, open access to the oceans is still regarded as desirable. Now, in general, right, open access, right, means open access means permission, right. Access, give the access means give permission. Open access means it's open permission, right. There's no restrictions, right. Open access to the oceans is still regarded as desirable. So the permission to go into the ocean without any restrictions is still regarded as what? Desirable. That is something which is desired for the people who catch fish, definitely, right. So let's see if the author's claim is matching with the statement. When we go to the passage, you can see when you read further, right. Now whenever you solve reading, now there are two methods of reading the passage. Either you take the passage in the beginning, read the whole thing, annotate it, right, like I told, with nouns, numbers and so on, what are the keywords, and then you come to the statements and take the part and understand. But that, I think, that will take a large amount of your time, because definitely maybe whatever, if the first answer for first line is in second line of the first paragraph, means answer for second last line of the second paragraph. So you are in between whatever information is there. It is not regarded this question, but definitely that information may be used for some other set of questions which are there. That's why we say annotate. But then true or false not given. If you are going with the keyword method, track keywords easily by skimming and scanning, right. But then when it comes to matching heading kind of questions, you can go parawise. You can take paragraphs, read, get the answers, like that you can do. So like I told, the approach varies for all types of questions, right. So let's see, the keywords we have taken is access to ocean, that is free access to ocean, right? Open access to oceans. It is regarded as this is something which is desired, right. So let's see, we can read a bit. Fisheries intensified over the centuries, but even by the 19th century, it was still felt. Now, fisheries generally are the places where fishes are looked for commercial purpose, right? Justifiably, the plentiful resources of the sea were for the most part beyond the reach of fishing, right? And so there was little need to restrict fishing or create protected areas. The 20th century heralded an escalation in fishing intensity that is unprecedented in the history of the oceans. And modern fishing technologies leave fish no place to hide. Today, the only refuges from fishing are those we deliberately create. Unhappily, the sea trails far behind the land in terms of area and the quality of protection given. So now they are telling about the restriction of the sea, right? For centuries, but then nowhere now, whatever we have read, they're not telling that the restriction is actually desired to be taken off, right? For centuries, as fishing and commerce have expanded, we have held on to the notion that the sea is different from the land. We still view it as a place where people and nations should be free to come. So we still look at it as a place where people and nations should be free, should be free to come and go at will. As well as additional information is there, somewhere that should be free for us to exploit. Right? So that is what the statement, that is what the part of the passage is telling you. Now, we still view means we still look at it. Somewhere we look at it as a place where people can come, from any country can come into the sea, right? Come and go. They can come and go at their own will. There is no restriction. Coming and going at their own will means without any restriction, right? At the same time, somewhere that should be free for us to it should be free for us to, there won't, again this word says there won't be any there shouldn't be any restriction, right? To exploit means to kind of utilize it, to make use of it, right? So this is what we still view it as. This means ഇതാണ് നമ്മളുടെ കാഴ്ചപ്പാട്, നമ്മൾ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്ന കാര്യം. That is what it is mentioned there. So as per the author is telling that for humans, sea is a place wherein they can come and go anytime. Okay, they can exploit, use it as they want, for whatever purpose they want. Okay, this is what we look at it as, right? So that is what the author says, and the statement says the same thing. Statement says that it is kind of it is desired by people, right? That is open access to ocean without any restriction, right? That is what the statement also says. So the answer for this one is also yes. Clear? Right? Okay, going to third statement. Sea fishing is now completely banned in majority of protected areas. So what is banned? Sea fishing is banned. It's completely banned means completely stopped, right? In where? In the majority of protected areas. So some areas in the sea are protected. There, whatever purpose is there, for that reason it is protected. And it is, now the statement is telling that in such areas where protection is given to the sea, in that areas fishing is completely banned as per the statement. Statement says so. Author what is telling in the passage. Going further, perhaps this is why we have been so reluctant to protect the sea. On land, protected areas have proliferated as human populations have grown. Here, compared to the sea, we have made greater headway in our struggle to maintain the richness and variety of wildlife and landscape. Right? So here, they're telling about the protection of the sea. People want easy access, people want to be there at any time, free. That's why they are too reluctant to protect the sea. 12% of the world's land is now contained in protected areas. Okay? Whereas the corresponding figure of the sea is but 3/5 of 1%. Now, Earth is covered with land and water. So, in the whole of the world, 12% of the whole world's land is actually protected. There, no access is there, like maybe it's forest or something like that. We cannot go there. It is not for free access to anybody. Because of various reasons, it is protected. However, when you compare the same with sea, in terms of water, sea is only 1%, 3/5 is only protected area. The whole sea under 1%, only 3/5 is protected. Worse still, most marine protected areas allow some fishing to continue. So worst, marine protected areas allow some fishing to continue. right? So sea is protected compared to land in a fraction, right? Just a fractional thing, 3/5 of 1%. Adilum, worse than that, most of the marine protected, that means wherein the where all this fishing and anything cannot be done, that kind of areas allow, this is the word which will help you get the answer, allow some fishing to continue, right? So that means it is, allow means something which you can do, banned means something which you cannot do, right? So that's why that will be your word, that is a word that is exactly contradictory of banned, near opposite. So when the sentence is contradictory to the idea of the author, claim of the author, we had told it's a no. That's why your answer here will be no. Okay, that is your third statement. It's a no. Fine. Coming to the fourth statement. People should be encouraged to reduce the amount of fish they eat. Now here, who should be encouraged? People. Encouraged means they should be told to eat more. Encourage means പ്രോത്സാഹനം കൊടുക്കുക എന്ത് കാര്യങ്ങൾക്കും. Tell to them, do it in a more better way, right? So should be encouraged to what? To reduce what? To reduce. They should bring down the amount of fish they consume, right? So people who eat fish, right, they should be told, they should be encouraged actually. They should be prompted to eat it less. Reduce the quantity of the fish they consume, right? That is what the statement says. But what does the author say about it? So let's go to the part. We have read till here. Yes, banned thing. Areas off limits to all exploitation cover something like 1/5,000 of the total area of the world seas. Okay, today we are belatedly coming to realize that natural refuges from fishing have played a critical role in sustaining fisheries and maintaining healthy and diverse marine ecosystems. This does not mean that marine reserves can rebuild fisheries on their own, right? Other management measures are also required for that. So in the beginning they are telling that natural refuges from fishing have played a critical role in sustaining fisheries, right, and maintaining healthy and diverse marine ecosystems. So you need fish for commercial purpose also. You need certain areas which has to be protected, the sea of the area of sea to be protected also. So these both things are done. That's why we are able to maintain healthy and diverse marine ecosystem. This does not mean that marine reserves can rebuild fisheries on their own. Other management measures are also required for that. However, this however is something which actually brings you contradictory information. Places that are off limits to fishing constitute the last and the most important part of our package of reform for fisheries management. So if the sea is allowed, if the permission is allowed, given to the people to catch fish from any part of the sea, right, that means that this marine life cannot be preserved. Everything will be caught and sold or whatever they are doing. But then some places are there which are off limits. So these off limit areas actually constitute as the last and the most important part of refuge and to reform fisheries management. They underpin and enhance all our other efforts. There are limits to protection though. So they underpin means they are actually they are the support, and they try to enhance means they try to make it better, make the quality of something better is enhanced. So they are actually supporting and actually making the quality better of all the efforts which we do to support protect fishes, right, marine life. But then last sentence says there are limits to protection though. Now what are these limits, right? There can be something which may not be helping to protect these fishes, but that is not clearly given. Because in that, when you read towards the passage, that is where the information ends about protection, right? So ഇത്രയും നിങ്ങൾ വായിച്ചു കഴിയുമ്പം you are not able to understand what those limits are. They have given it, there are some limits, but what are those limits which actually stops, is an obstacle in protecting these kind of marine animals? That is not mentioned. And the statement says that people have to be, the people who consume fish, they have to be encouraged. So that can be, maybe the demand of fish is increasing, right? And that's why fishes are being, but we don't know exactly about that. So to tell the people to reduce the consumption of fish is not something clearly given in your passage. They are telling there are limits, but what is that? They are not mentioning it. So that's why that answer is a not given, right? The information is not completely given in your passage. It is somewhere a partial way they have told, right? So that's why it goes to be a not given. Clear? I hope it is clear. Coming to the last statement, the fifth one. The reintroduction of certain mammals to the Mediterranean is a straightforward task. Certain mammals, again it's a noun. Mammals is a noun. Mediterranean is again a noun. The reintroduction of certain mammals to the Mediterranean Sea is a straightforward task. Straightforward means something without any obstacle, something which is quite easy, right? So, is that what the passage is telling you? Coming to the passage. Yeah, be read till here. Reserves cannot bring back what has died out. We can never resurrect globally extinct species, and restoring locally extinct animals may require reintroductions from elsewhere. So this is the word we are looking for, reintroduction. Animals, marine animals which are already extinct, they have to be reintroduced from somewhere, okay, elsewhere. If natural disposal from remaining population is insufficient, we are also seeing in cases such as northern cod in Canada that fishing can shift marine ecosystems into different states, where different mixes of species prevail. In many cases, these species are less desirable, since the prime fishing targets have gone or are much reduced in numbers, and changes may be difficult to reverse, even with a complete moratorium on fishing. The Mediterranean, now this is where we have marked as a keyword. The Mediterranean, sailed by Ulysses, the legendary king of ancient Greece. Ulysses, he was a king of Greece, supported abundant monk seals, loggerhead turtles and porpoises. Their disappearance through hunting and overfishing has totally restructured food webs, and recovery is likely to be much harder. To achieve than their destruction was. This means, so like beginning we told, something which is, the statement says that the task is actually straightforward, like it was something which is very easy without any hurdles, without any problems. But then here they say the reintroduction, the recovery is when you reintroduce and then they have to form into a species, the recovery of that is much harder to achieve than their destruction was. So it is not easy, it is not a straightforward task. It will have a lot of hurdles and obstacles. So that is what the statement says. So it's going contradictory. It is exactly opposite of what the statement says, right? Information in the passage. That's why your answer for that question will be no. Right? So that is how we solve the the yes, no, not given, right? I hope that it is clear. Fine? Yes, no, not given. It's not that difficult if you understand, comprehend the question statement clearly, what you're looking for, go to the passage, track it down with the keywords and try to match it with the information in the passage, right? Okay. Now going forward with the next set of questions, that is 6 to 8. Choose the correct option from A to D. Correct option from A to D. That means you have to choose, is a MCQ, that is single choice, single answer. You have to choose only one choice. MCQs, there are single answers and multiple answers. So this is a single answer question. So we have got 6 statements, 6, 7 and 8. 3 statements, and we have been given 4 options each. That is how MCQs come. Ella statement 4 options are ningalku. You have to choose one correct option. The other 3 options are also a part of the passage. They don't come from somewhere outside. So that is what the confusion happens, right? Sometimes 1 or 2 options may sound very same for that particular statement. So that's why you have to comprehend it very clearly. Track down the keyword, look for the information and then compare that information with the passage, with the statements and options, and then try to get the answer. So let's see the first statement. It's a question. What criticism does the author have of the common fisheries policy? Now what criticism means, what are some of the negative, criticism is negative things, right? So what are some negative things which the author is trying to say about the common fishery policy? So the author has to say some giving some criticism about that particular thing, and what is that? Is it some of its recommendations were overstated by officials? Is it the recommendations it made were hastily put into action? Is it was based on unreliable predictions, or is the recommendations were unreliable? So which is out of it that the author is trying to say in the passage about common fisheries policy? So let's go to the passage. We have read till here, right? Okay. This means that sooner we act to protect marine life, the most certain will be our success. So it should be done sooner, right? To some people, creating marine reserves is an admission of failure, according to their logic. Now, to some people, creating marine reserves is an admission of failure. According to their logic, reserves should not be necessary if we have done our work properly in managing the uses we make of the sea, right? Many fishery managers are still wedded to the idea that one day, now we are looking connected to fisheries, right? What is the criticism point which the author has given about the common fisheries policy? Many fishery managers are still wedded to the idea that one day their models will work, and politicians will listen to their advice. Just give the approach time and the success will be theirs. How much time have we got? This approach has been tried and refined for the last 50 years. There have been few successes which to feather the manager's caps, but a growing litany of failure. Okay, but it is, so there are some points which are good, some things which have been like some things which they have done, it is quite appreciated, but then it is a growing litany of failure. Means litany means something which is repeated again and again. Okay, like we say when we chant a prayer, chant it again and again and again. Litany continuation, it's called litany. So litany means something which is repeated. So the litany of failure means again and again they have failed, right? The common fishery policy, now this is what we are looking for, the common fishery policy, that is our keyword, right? The common fishery policy, the European Union's instrument for the management of fisheries. Now that is a instrument, means that is something which helps to manage the fisheries, that the fisheries have to fishery managers have to follow that policies. Management of fisheries and aquaculture exemplifies the worst pitfalls. So that is something that is exemplifies, that is something that actually exemplifies means actually demonstrates, and it's kind of given example of the worst pitfalls. That means the worst dangers or risk which has been taken. Flawed models, okay, flawed models, flawed advice, watered down recommendations from government bureaucrats. Bureaucrats are people who work in high officials who are working in high administration, people who have got hold, right? And then the disregard of much of this advice by politicians. When it all went wrong, as it inevitably had to, Europe sent its boats to other countries in order to obtain fish for far less than they were actually worth. So a lot of things he says. Flawed models, that means something which cannot be trusted. Flawed advice, right? Watered down recommendations. Recommendations which just flowed into water. Like something like that. So all these things, they had made a lot of things, but then nothing worked out. Nothing is useful, right? So that's why it is a repetition of failure, these policies. That is what the criticism author is giving about those policies, about that policy. Now let's see our option. Frame comprehension, understanding, when we go. Some of its recommendations were overstated by officials. No, it's not mentioned. The recommendations it made were hastily put into action. No. It was based on unreliable predictions, or if the recommendations were unreliable, right? So the correct answer is actually in this C, because it was based on unreliable predictions, right? Flawed, they are telling, flawed models, flawed advice, watered down recommendations, right, from government bureaucrats, and the disregard of much is advice by politicians. So these were all kind of without studying it, right? In the beginning they say reserve should not be necessary if we have done our work properly in managing the uses we make of the sea. So many fishery managers are still wedded to the idea that one day their models will work. That means the models will their work and politicians will listen to their advice. Just give the approach and success will be theirs. But then towards the end they say it's a failure. They're not working, right? It is quite unpredictable. That's why the correct answer is this one. 3 option. It is based on unreliable, which cannot be trusted. It's not trustworthy. That's why it is failing. Okay, fine. Coming to the 7th statement. 7th question, statement says, in the 5th paragraph, that's a direct keyword. So you directly go to the 5th paragraph. You don't have to look anywhere. In the 5th paragraph, the writer asks, how much time still remains? Right? We read that question. It was asked, how much time do we have? What does he or she mean by that? By asking that question, what is the writer trying to ask through that question? Right? First is, governments will be able to plan effectively with accurate predictions. Currently, fisheries policies are based on uncertain projections. The need for action to safeguard fish stocks is urgent. Fisheries managers need to offer more precise information. Right? So sometimes we can guess the answers, right, when we look at the statement. Now here let's see, we had seen that part somewhere here. See how much time we got. He asked that question there. Many fishery managers, many fishery managers are still wedded to the idea that one day their models will work and politicians will listen to their advice. Just give the approach time. Just give the approach time. That is something which they are telling. Success will be there. Now that is not the author's point of view. That is what the fishery managers think, right? How much time we have? That is what the author is asking. How much time do we have? This approach has been tried and refined for the last 50 years. In the last 50 years, they are trying to do the same things, right? There have been few successes which feather the manager's cap, right? But again, when we go towards this beginning, there was a sentence here which says this means that sooner we act to protect marine life, the more certain will be our success. So it is kind of like to be done. 50 years are already sent. Now how much time we have? Now somebody is telling you, already waited for 50 years. Now how much time we do have? 50 years is a very long time. After that, how much more? That means it has to be done very quickly, rapidly, or you can say urgently. 50 വർഷം വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടും ഒരു സക്സസ് ഉണ്ടായില്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇനി എത്ര സമയം വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യണം? അങ്ങനെ ഒരാൾ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ചോദിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ what is he or she trying to say? പെട്ടെന്നാവണം. That is the comprehension is. So the option is C. The need for action to safeguard fish stocks is urgent. Right? In both cases, the marine life protection as well as the fish stock to be protected is both urgent. Right? It cannot be delayed anymore. So that is why the answer is C. Okay. Going forward with the last statement, what is the author's assessment, right, of evaluation? Assessment, what is the author trying to say at the end? Evaluation or assessment of the depletion of marine resources, the reduction which is happening of the marine resources. What the author trying to assess about it? The steps already taken to avert a crisis are likely adequate. Why is this happening? What is the author telling about it? The steps already taken for marine resources production taken to avert a crisis. Avert a crisis. This is a crisis which is happening, depletion. So avert that crisis likely adequate. That's enough. Prioritization should be given to strategies for preventing the worst outcomes. You should give importance, right, given to strategies, rules and policies which are made for preventing the worst outcomes. Which actions would be the most successful are no longer clear. There is currently no likely solution due to the severity of the situation. So first it says is adequate. Secondly, say prioritize it. Strategies. Which actions will more successful no longer, what will work out? It's no longer clear, right? Right now, there is no solution due to the severity of this, due to the seriousness of the situation, right? So which one is what the author is trying to say? Now, when we go forward in the passage, we can see that, okay, so we have read till here. Yeah, We are squandering the wealth of oceans. If you don't break out of this cycle of failure, humanity will lose a key source of protein and much more besides. Disrupting natural ecosystem processes such as water purification, nutrient cycling, and carbon storage could have ramifications for human itself. Now they say, if now we are squandering means we are playing with the wealth of the oceans. If you don't break out of this cycle of failure, humanity will lose a key source of protein. Marine life is normally we consume for protein, and much more besides than that. Disrupting natural ecosystem processes such as water purification, nutrient cycling, and carbon storage. ഇതൊക്കെ affect ആവും apart from the marine reserves. This could have ramifications for human life. Ramifications are adverse effects, some outcome, okay, which can most of the time it's negative, right, for human life itself. We can go a long way to avoiding this catastrophic mistake with simple common sense management. Marine reserves lie at the heart of the reform. They should be reformed. They should be the heart of the reform. They should be the central thing. Heart is a central part of human's body, the most important part. Heart stops, the life stops. So even other parts of the body are important. Heart is the most central core of it. It's the core of it, right? So it is the marine reserves actually the heart of reform, the core of the reform. But they will not be sufficient if they are implemented only here and there to shore up the crumbling edifice of the rational fisheries management envisioned by scientists in the 1940s and 1950s. They have to be placed center stage as a fundamental underpinning for everything we do in the ocean. Central stage, something which is the core, okay. Fundamental, something which is a basic, the very foundation, the central, the basic foundation, right? Centrally, very, very important, right? Underpinning, we already the support system. They are the basic support for everything we do in the ocean. So these reserves have to have been the central stage. Reserves are the first resort, not a final resort when all fail. So they have to be actually given the most priority, the first resort. So that's why it is very clear from the options that the option is B. Prioritization should be given to the strategies for preventing the worst outcomes. The worst outcomes they already told, whatever is mentioned here. We read that, right? The adverse effects, ramifications, we have to give it as the central, most important thing. That is what the correct option is, right? So that is where the last statement also ends, the third of the multiple choice. So I hope that it is clear. So that is what it is for today's session. We had discussed two type of questions, true, false, not given, and yes, no, yes, no, I'm again telling it, yes, true or false, yes, no, not given, and multiple choice, single answer. I hope that it is clear and you were able to understand how it was comprehended, right? So like I say, comprehension plays a very big role in MCQs as well as true or false, not given. You need to take keywords, locate the area and get the answers. That is how you go with these questions, right? So this is where we ended today. We will connect next week, and we are ending this week here also with the festive season. Like I told, the festive days are there, 2-3 days. So you all enjoy, have a great time. Please do practice also. Till we meet again next week, you all have a great day. Keep yourself safe and happy Onam. Goodbye.